Well, folks, the year 2025 is finally coming to a close today, and we have to look back on Donald Trump's first year in office. Obviously, I have talked about Donald Trump's first year in office pretty much every single day this year, but there's a lot of things that happened that people may have forgotten about. There's a lot of things that happened that people may not have heard about. But I think the best way to approach this, the way the Independent over in the UK approached it, was to talk about the fact that Project 2025, the very thing that Donald Trump swore all of 2024 that he knew nothing about, don't even know what it is, where did it come from, and never heard of it, even though he had already endorsed it. Project 2025, 50% of the recommendations in that nearly 1,000-page Republican blueprint, 50% of the recommendations have already been implemented by Donald Trump. 1 year into a 4-year term, and half of Project 2025 is now a reality under which every single American citizen is now living. The very thing Trump swore he wouldn't do, he knew nothing about, 50% of it has already happened. So let's go down the list here. Number one, and the biggest one that had the most, recommendations to it, destroying and dismantling the federal workforce. That includes not only firing 271,000 federal workers who are now out of work, but it also includes tightening the grip that the executive branch has over all of these employees. Right? You don't work if you're at the DOJ for Pam Bondi, you work for Donald Trump. He could come in and fire you. He can hire people. He can make staffing decisions. He can do all of these things while ruling with an iron fist. And of course, that has been challenged in court, and now we're waiting for the Supreme Court to give Trump the yes or no about whether or not he's allowed to do that. It also includes packing these government agencies with MAGA and conservative extremists, so that they will fully and wholeheartedly implement the president's agenda and, of course, remake these agencies for years to come. That was one of the biggest points of Project 2025, and that, of course, is one of the first things that Trump did upon coming into office, using Doge and Elon Musk to carry out the task. The other thing, cuts to grants and funding. Well, we all know about that, right? USAID, cut, NPR, PBS, hell, Sesame Street, all of these things, cut. Donald Trump came into office, immediately froze grants, froze funding for medical research, for renewable energy research, for colleges, for all of these nonprofit organizations, these NGOs, all the funding gone. We had tons and tons, literal tons of food rotting in storage containers near the docks because we couldn't send it to needy countries because Trump said no. Education. Well, it's no secret that conservatives have always hated the Department of Education, swearing up and down that states can do it better. And while they haven't done a ton with the Department of Education yet, Linda McMahon and Donald Trump have repeatedly said throughout this past year that they want to get rid of the Department of Education, and they, of course, are in the process of dismantling it. That is going to be a disaster for education across the United States. States themselves do not have the money to fund their own education systems. And for those of you who may be thinking, well, the plan is actually to take the money that was going to the DOE and send it to the states, yeah, that's not going to work. Do you know why it's not going to work? Do you know what's happened in state after state, usually red states, by the way, when they get federal money for a specific thing because, they had a natural disaster in their state or, they're just getting this as part of a grant. Do you know what usually happens to that money more often than not? The state legislatures, usually controlled by Republicans, reallocate it. Oh, we've got budget shortfalls over here, so we're going to do this. The COVID funds is a great example. We saw this in red state after red state during the COVID funds. The federal government passed legislation, says here, we're going to give you states this much money because COVID is wrecking your economy. Go out there and reinvest, protect your small businesses, right? A lot of red states, including my state of Florida, decided to instead use those COVID funds to make up budget shortfalls in other areas so that they could give businesses in the states a tax cut. So if you think the government giving states money to deal with education means that it's going to go to education because that's how Congress allocated it, then you don't know a thing about history. And I suggest you learn something. Immigration. We all know what's going on there. Hell, Steve Bannon came out this week, called on Donald Trump to halt all immigration into the United States, legal immigration, for the next decade, 10 years. We've seen the raids. We've seen the human rights abuses. We have seen American citizens locked up for months, even those who had their papers. They don't care. And of course, getting rid of DEI and protections for the LGBTQ+ community. This administration has touched everything. They've implemented half of Project 2025. Transgender individuals are being kicked out of the military. Donald Trump has removed the words gender, sex, anything referencing people of color from federal government papers, from studies that the government has produced. They've deleted those studies off the internet. We don't want people in this country to know that there's anyone other than straight white people in America, because that is who this administration is for. But only the wealthy straight white people, okay? Let's not think they care about the straight white poor people, because they don't care about you either. You're still getting screwed too. But you voted for hate, and you got hate, and you ended up getting screwed in the end too. So how's that working for you? What gets me is that Project 2025 was, of course, this massive conservative wish list. Everything Republicans always wanted to do, and they've done it. Now, let me ask you this. Are you better off for it? We've got 100% conservative rule. They have fulfilled 50% of their wish list. Is your life better? The answer, unless you're in the top 1%, is unequivocally, no, my life is worse. Maybe you're one of the lucky ones who says, no, my life hasn't changed, but for most of us, our lives are worse. And this is what conservative policies bring. The economy is in the toilet. We're losing rights left and right. People can't afford things. Record number of bankruptcies in the United States this past year, thanks to Donald Trump. Our allies hate us and no longer trust us. And this is what happens when conservatives have control of everything. When they get their way, everyone, except the wealthy elite, suffers. And that is the lesson that everybody should have learned this past year. Thanks for watching, and if you are not already subscribed to the channel, please do so, and do not forget to like and comment and share widely among your friends.